I was diagnosed at the age of 35, and it was 2020 during a global pandemic. At the time, my daughter, Yael, was 5 years old, entering kindergarten, and my husband was working remote at home. I found out quickly that not only did I have triple-negative breast cancer, but I was carrying a BRCA1 mutation, which was a surprise to my family because I had never heard of anybody on my mother's side or my father's side that had breast cancer. I knew what BRCA was. I grew up in a Jewish community. I had heard of it. I just didn't think it related to myself, my family, because I didn't have breast cancer in my family.
So I was a junior in college when my parents told me that my father was a carrier of the BRCA1 mutation. My dad got tested because it runs in his family. And that was hard for him in the sense that he had to hold on to that information, and my parents didn't want to tell me until they thought I was ready and until I was old enough to make a sound decision. And so when they did tell me, it was a rite of passage in a way, because they were saying, we're going to give you this information because we trust you to take action. Well, keep in mind that this was 2009. This was years before Angelina Jolie came out publicly with her experience with the BRCA gene and getting prophylactic surgery. When I found out that having a prophylactic bilateral mastectomy with reconstructive surgery was an option for me, and in fact, more and more younger women were getting this done, it was a no-brainer. I said, yes, of course that's what I want to do. I don't want to spend the rest of my life waking up every day waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting to find a lump or a positive test result or anything like that. I simply wanted to put this behind me.
Why don't we make a headband for somebody to pick up their knee? So after finding my lump on my own, because of course I wasn't going for routine mammograms at 35, I was told I had breast cancer. I didn't even realize there were subtypes of breast cancer, but I was waiting for the receptor to tell me what type I had. But what I was really waiting for was the genetic results, because when you have the BRCA mutation related to triple negative, there are some other treatments that go along with that. I prepared myself to have the kitchen sink thrown at me and to take it all. I was a young mother, a young wife. I have lots of family and friends, and I decided in that moment that I was gonna live.
Look, as sure as I was that having a double mastectomy was what I wanted to do, I had a lot of questions about what that would do to my body image, what that would do to my dating life. And of course, later down the line, I knew I wanted to have kids even at that age. I met my now husband, Josh, many years after I had gotten this done. I prepared the script in my head of, there's something I need to tell you. And without getting too much into detail, he really didn't spend that much time worrying about it. He has a great line. He says, if I can feel them, they're real. My husband Josh and I decided to pursue in vitro fertilization. And one of the benefits of that is that you can choose to test the embryos for specific mutations. And that's exactly what we did. And that's what led us to our precious daughter, Anne. We call her the Uber baby because she's just off the scale on every measurement. And she's absolutely just a boisterous little baby and just so adorable. And it's just such an incredible privilege to know that she will not have to deal with this.
Being connected to LBBC meant that I had all of this information, resources to get through my treatment, meet other women going through the same journey. And then I became a young advocate for LBBC. And that also gave me so many opportunities to share my story through blogging, going to virtual events during the pandemic, then going to in-person events. I had this thought one day in the shower, beating cancer together. BEADING. I locked that page in created the account with some help from my best friend, Rebecca Schuchart, and we got rolling. And I go into different stores for pop-up events and have my bracelets there, share my story, have pamphlets out of who LBBC is, what their mission is.
Yep. Oh my God, I love this. I have some sunglasses I've been working on.
And it's a win. So not only is it that therapy for me, but it's also, it provides me with so much purpose. And to date, I have raised, with the help of my community, about $35,000, which has gone to different organizations close to my heart, and most of that goes to Living Beyond Breast Cancer.
Amazing. Well, as you said, Abby, it is such a gift to be able to share our stories with people because it is so easy for us to do, but it means so much to others. And a few years ago, I decided to write a book that compiled not just BRCA carriers, but all different facets of the breast cancer experience. And so my book is called Beat Breast Cancer Like a Boss, and it came out in 2020. And it contains the stories of 30 incredible women who have gone through some form of breast cancer, some of them preventative like myself, all the way through to people who are living and thriving with metastatic breast cancer. I'm also lucky because I'm a storyteller by trade. So in my job, I'm able to share the stories of breast cancer survivors, other types of cancer survivors, and talk about all of these issues on our shows. You know, my dad also has a high profile because he's the drummer for Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, and he was also the band leader on Late Night with Conan O'Brien for 15 years. He and I have gone on to do lots of things together where we talk about BRCA, how it affects the whole family, and how, importantly, this is a mutation that can be passed from fathers to daughters. It doesn't matter what sex the person is.
And look, there's your name spelled.
They can still inherit this gene. And I inherited a lot of wonderful things from my dad, but this is just one of those things that, you know, you deal with.
I appreciate that so much because mother's guilt is so real. So the tiniest of things make you struggle when you see your child struggle. And she doesn't know a thing about this, which is a beautiful innocence to, you know, childhood. She doesn't understand the genetics to that. I don't want Yael to be a third generation going through this. I hope that there is a cure or there's something out there by the time she's 18. And when I see what's out there, I realize that science is on our side for our girls. That gives me some sense of relief.